Good morning and welcome to Shamanic Sundays. Hi, Dad.
Hey, good morning.
Hello, relatives out there. Thank you for joining us this morning. We are so honored to share this time with you and grateful to be able to, and that you are able to join us, whether you're joining us live or at a future date. Thank you for being here. Want to start us off with a prayer, Pops?
Thank you for being exactly who you are. You show up as you in a perfection that only you can do, being you. And that perfection that's built into all of us comes from great spirit, great mystery. So dropping inside to where my inner vision sees no obstacles and only experience oneness. Give thanks to you, great spirit, Holy Spirit, Wahantanka, sacred mystery, creator, for this breath of life you give us this day, that you give us to live our lives, to bring awareness to our intentions for the qualities of consciousness and being that we'd like to express and nurture and cultivate and grow stronger in our experience of this day and all that comes to us. And what comes to us right now is present awareness for me of gratitude of our lives, our families, our communities, our ancestors, the ancestors, spirits of the land and people where we live, Chumash here in Santa Barbara, whatever those people are where you are living. Positive energy, gratitude, healing to the indigenous people. We're coming up to the Abraham Lincoln in the, I think, 1860s declared the holiday of Thanksgiving based on certain myths that are really in denial of the treatment that was afforded and continues to oppress indigenous people. So gratitude for awareness of the growing awareness of the truth of the genocide committed to the indigenous people whose lands we're living on, and prayers for healing of the attitudes and beliefs and stories that lead to that kind of behavior, which is still taking place. And breathing into our hearts with gratitude for the infinite, unconditional light and love that through grace lives in all of us. And the more we can access that, deal with the obstacles that get in the way, the mind-created obstacles that get in the way of our connecting with what's always there, that infinite light and love and deep inner peace, and can manifest that and be channels for it out into the world, we can hasten the day for the healing of the sacred hoop, a peaceful and just and beautifully diverse win-win world for all, which is why we're all here in this life, to show up and use our gifts to help bring that birthing through the birth canal, and it takes labor to do it. So gratitude for this opportunity to join our hearts and minds and spirits on this day we're given through Shamanic Sundays, Kimberly's vision. And let's get on with it. Oh, Bumperios.
We are getting on. Everything you said, we are getting on, trying. We are here. Yeah, with Thanksgiving and just the irony of the title of that holiday with what it was about and the actual pain and genocide behind it and loss of lives and traditions. And so that's part of and why we do Shamanic Sundays, because you've been a real bridge builder and trying to bring some of the ancient wisdom traditions ways, indigenous wisdom ways that you've been taught from your mentors and some of mine too, and to help us carry forward that good medicine, because those ways are in sacred balance and reciprocity. And so yeah, just really feeling that right now. Yeah. Let's see. So we got a question this week around using shamanic principles to deal with chronic disease, which of course could be disease, dis-ease. They kind of go together, and also the just the darkness in the world. If you're not dealing with chronic disease personally, we're all dealing with some forms of darkness in the world. And I think some of that goes back to even just what we were just talking about, the way that our current Eurocentric dominant culture are built on genocide and slavery and destruction and racism. And so of course there's darkness right now because we need to heal that. So let's talk about bringing some light and healing into dark times and chronic disease, and how we can find more light, find more love, find some version of healing.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a wonderful question. And thank you to the relative who asked it, and recognition of all your struggles and challenges and how well you are doing with them, keeping your heart open. Appreciation and respect for you. And for all people who have to deal with chronic whatever. And I think the planetary field, as Kimberly you were just saying, chronic fear, chronic anxiety, chronic depression, chronic despair, chronic anger, chronic
fear. Did you say fear?
You can say it twice. Yeah, there's plenty of fear. It leads to violence toward whatever ego perceives as the other. So there's chronic conditions affecting all of us, and some of us are I'm going to use the word to say, let's say, burdened with chronic physical, physiological, emotional, psychological conditions that you have to live with. You just have to live with. And so I was dropping in my meditation this morning. I was opening myself to, so what could I say that might be helpful in dealing with chronic conditions? And fortunately, I don't have any physical major impairment of chronological pressures. And so I said, well, maybe I don't have anything to contribute to that. But then I just stayed with opening and surrendering and listening. And what came into my mind was memory when I was 63, 17 years ago. And I had a back injury that took me in the emergency room in the hospital in agony, collapsed to the floor in agony, and had to rush me to the hospital and shoot me up with all kinds of pain-killing drugs, and eventually sent me home. And for 6 weeks, I was in a chronic condition for those 6 weeks.
Can I interject for a second? Because I think you used an incorrect word. You said chronological instead of chronic.
Yeah, chronic.
And there is a relationship between the two, because sometimes disease, pain, darkness, back injury comes from a piling up of chronological events or experiences. So It felt kind of fitting, but I wanted to just check in and make sure if that was the right word you were meaning to use there. But
you were right on. It wasn't the right word for me to use that I wanted to use. I used the wrong word, and you're correcting us. And no, that's good. I appreciate it. Yeah.
So 6 weeks you're laying on your back.
So I was 100% dependent on other people to meet my needs. I couldn't sit up to eat. I had to eat lying down, worrying, I was going to suffocate on my own food, trying to chew it while I'm lying down, and an intense pain. And I had a knowing, as when the pain hits, there was like a knowing that said, you will be able to recover from this. You will not need surgery, but it's not going to be on your ego's time. So I heard all of that going in, and of course my ego wanted, okay, I'll give it a week, and with this, that, and the other thing, I'll be better and get back to everything that I want to get back to. And after a week, I'm still in this intense pain, and so the reminder voice said, you have to let go of your ego's timing on this. You will heal in divine timing. You have to let go of your ego's control and desires, and be open to whatever way healing comes to you. And one of the ways that most significant healing came to me was a phone call from Jerry Jampolsky, my older spiritual brother, through our work together at the Center for Attitudinal Healing. He'd heard what happened to me and how I was suffering, and so he called, and he said to me, he said, I'm going to give you a mantra, repeat it after me. And what he said was, this is what I want you to say. I am, no, let's see, I got to drop into it. Hold on. Infinite light and love is what I see. Infinite light and love is what I be. So he's telling me this on the phone while I've got burning sciatic pain shooting through me. I'm on fire. I'm in agony. And he's saying, start saying this to yourself. Infinite, in the midst of the pain and the suffering, start saying it to yourself. Infinite light and love is what I see. He said, close your eyes and say it. Infinite light and love is what I see. Take a breath, release, pause. Infinite light and love is what I be. Infinite light and love is what I be. And he said, keep saying that to yourself. Just keep repeating that to yourself over and over and over again. And I invite you to do the same. This is life's exploration of what's possible. And when we have a chronic condition, when there's a chronic condition, and for those 6 weeks, I was in a chronic condition because it was every day. I did know that I was going to come out the other side of it. I had faith and trust that I was going to come out the other side of it at a certain time. And I felt such compassion for people who are dealing with a chronic situation that they're not going to come out of. My heart just broke in sadness and grief for the unbelievable burden or challenge of having a chronic situation that's in some ways it's describing what you can do and saying what you can't do and what you need to do. You're going to have extra burdens trying to do it. And so it's tremendous pressure, it's tremendous force and difficulty, and it just breaks us down, and all the feelings that come from that have to then be worked with. But I also saw, as my experience was with saying this mantra that Jerry gave me, gratitudes of Jerry and the spirit world for all that we shared, and being my older brother, and all the medicine you shared that's coming through, like right now, the medicine truths of what you spoke about are happening right now. Yeah. And as I continued to say that through this pain, it wasn't like the pain magically went away, but all of a sudden I was experiencing, it's like I uplifted my consciousness to a higher level. So my body's still going through the pain and suffering, and it's not me. It's what am I? I am infinite light and love that I see with my eyes closed on an energetic level. And that's what I am, not the body is suffering. So as I continue to repeat this mantra to myself, it transcended me to a higher level where I'm having a different kind of experience. Even though the pain was still there, I'm not suffering. I wasn't attached to or in the suffering. I was aware of it, but I wasn't in it. And so while I couldn't do anything on the physical plane except lie there in my bed, what came to me was, and so you can send this healing light and love out to your family, your friends, and the people you know who are dealing with chronic situations that do not come out of. Just send this healing light and love that you're seeing, that you're feeling, just pour it out to them. And so that was the one thing I could do lying in bed. And as I did that elevated my consciousness to a higher and higher level, to where in the midst of it all, I'm enjoying myself. I'm experiencing joy, feeling this infinite light and love that's the truth essence of my being, and the joy that comes from being able to recognize that. I want to consciously connect with it. You don't have to make it happen. It's already in us through grace. Just consciously connect with it. And the way to get there, sometimes we have to see what are the thought forms and identities and patterns and stories I'm telling myself that disconnect my awareness from the truth of our being. It's always present. Doing that work. And so what comes to me to offer in response to this the question of how to work with chronic conditions, be there in our physical bodies or mental, emotional, whatever, is recognizing from the larger perspective, from ego and rational mind, those burdens, those burdens like chronic conditions, are pushing us into deeper reactivity to them, right? Pushing us into deeper despair, depression, anger, self-pity, whatever it might be, just all natural human responses to the kind of situation. I've got this chronic condition in my heart or my shoulder or my eyes or my, whatever. And it's never going to go away, and I have to deal with it every day, and everybody else doesn't have to deal with this. And that's a really big pressure. And so compassion and empathy and whatever we can do in support for people in those kinds of situations, and recognizing from that larger perspective when we have to deal with those kind of extra burdens, like I did for those 6 weeks and for a number of months afterwards, that when I was able to get up on crutches and start going to hydrotherapy, this is growing me. This is forcing me by the pressures to bring more awareness to what I'm putting my attention into, what thoughts, what identities, what ways of thinking, being, acting, doing, I'm putting my attention into. It's forcing me to be more conscious of that. And in that forcing of consciousness, to paying attention to what I'm putting my attention into, quality attention, then I begin to see the thoughts, stories, beliefs, identities that I've been unconsciously conditioned into putting my attention into and fueling them to keep running, that are unskillful patterns of reactivity in response to stimuli, like troubling situations. And then it brings more awareness to when I allow those unconsciously conditioned reactive patterns to run, I'm actually contributing to my suffering. I'm deepening and increasing my suffering with those negative thoughts of limitation or judgment or shame or guilt, or limiting my understanding and belief of who and what I am as to my physical body and what it's going through. And the ego identified with it in its stories, when the truth is I'm so much more than that. And so it's possible to, with those burdens of chronic conditions, to use them skillfully. And I don't say this is easy, very hard, but it is possible. We do have the ability to create responses, to use all that pressure, you might say, to metaphorically, you think about the lump of coal, it doesn't turn into a diamond without pressure. Sustained long-term pressure, and gradually a transformation takes place of an energy state, vibrational state, raised up to a higher order. Like with me in the 6 weeks, that this suffering's here, it's going to go on for a while, and for people with chronic, for all your life. And how can you create a response to what it triggers in a way that grows you in the directions you want to grow, which means taking time to reflect, what are the qualities of consciousness and being that I want to have grow stronger in this lifetime that I have, with whatever the conditions and situations internally I have to deal with, and externally in the larger world, energy, planetary field. How can I create a response to my human reactions to hurtful things, unjust things, terrible things happen in the world? How can I create a response to the truth of what's triggered inside of me in a way that I'm not just victim to it, but I use it all to help me grow consciously in the ways that I want to grow, toward more confidence, or more faith, or more trust, or more kindness, or more generosity of spirit, more tenderness, more compassion. What are those qualities of consciousness being we want to have grow stronger through disappointment and frustration and fear and difficulty, and other than just being victim to it? So it's a way of accelerating dealing with those kind of conditions, when we can open our consciousness to recognize, is there a way I can befriend this situation and all that it triggers, and use it to help me grow in ways that I want to grow? So we're befriending it. We're creating that troubling situation into an ally. We're creating an ally relationship where we're using it consciously, skillfully, to help us grow and move in the directions that we want to grow toward enlightenment, toward lightening up, toward waking up to remembering and connecting with and living from the truth that we are infinite light and love. We are infinite unconditional love. That's the essence of our being. And we're here to wake up and remember that and let that light shine into the darkness of the challenges to help transform and raise the energy to a higher level. That's why we're here. Oh, that's what comes up for me anyway in response to working with chronic conditions, whatever that's worth.
Thank you. So just recapping a little bit, a couple of the things that really stood out for me was this ability to move from victim to, the words that come to mind for me is like an empowered grower, like you're growing yourself regardless of what happens. How are you going to shift yourself from a victim to someone who's using the challenge to grow into more light, into more love? And then being able to repeat those beautiful words of Jerry's, of infinite light and love is what I see. Infinite light and love is what I be. And just the power of repeating that as a tool that you can use anywhere. And also I think to encourage folks to say it out loud, right? Like say it out loud, like stand firm or sit confident or lay on the ground, whatever is.
Let's do it right now.
Okay, let's do it right now. Okay.
1, 2, 3. Infinite light and love is what I see. Infinite light and love is what I be. Yahweh.
I feel like we could say that just like 10 times in a row.
I try to say it throughout the day. Yeah. And pay attention when you say it. It's such a wonderful... Yeah, just notice what comes up in your awareness. And some thoughts will come up and say, no, you're not this or that, defute it and argue it and debate it. And just notice what comes up. No judgment, breathing in, breathing out, and keep doing it. And notice what you experience. Just notice your experience. And there's a lot of medicine that's going to come to you using this mantra in those especially trying and difficult situations.
Yeah. And really tied in with that also, another tool is just the recognizing and remembering that we are not just our bodies or the thoughts that we're having, right? But that we're actually infinite light and love. I just lost my train of thought, but
that's great. Let's just welcome that for a moment, because how many of us, don't all of us lose our train of thought sometime? And the conditioning of our culture is, oh, that's a bad thing. I forgot. I've blown it. I'm a fool. And it's a natural occurrence. And for me, it happens sometimes when I'm giving a talk to a lot of people or something like that, and presentation, and a couple hundred people, whatever. And all of a sudden, the wave goes out, and I'm totally at blank. And so when I don't judge myself about that, and I open to accept that that's the truth of what happened, it gives me an opportunity to then ask the person or people or crowd I'm with, is just say what's true. Healing comes from the truth of what is. Truth is, I just had a human experience of lost my train of thought. I have no clue where I was saying, where I was going. Can anybody here help me? What was the last thing I was talking about? And somebody always says something that helps me bring my memory back to and connect to the wave, and then we're off again. And it demonstrates that we need all the help we can get. And to be able to not feel that we have to be perfect about everything and not forget anything and always be perfectly eloquent, but give ourselves permission for our humanness without any shame or judgment. Yeah, I totally spaced it out. And it's true, I need some help. And to be able to then ask for help. Is there anybody who remembers or can help me with what I was just talking about? Somebody always comes through. But that door to ask for help and get help when it's needed isn't open unless we give ourselves permission to be with the truth, the vulnerability of whatever it is. I forgot what I was saying. Honor it and then ask for help. Help comes. There's another mantra of peace abides underneath the waves of discomfort and challenge and chronic this or that, fear, anxiety, underneath it all. Drop down underneath the waves and currents. Peace abides and wisdom guides and love provides. Peace abides and wisdom guides, if we listen to it, which means humility, receptivity, paying attention, and love provides. Right.
Hey, can't really say much more than that. I think we should we should close just repeating a couple times together Jerry's phrase.
Okay.
Will you guys join us wherever you are today?
Infinite light and love is what I see. Infinite light and love is what I be. Yahweh.
Again,
infinite light and love is what I see.
In you.
Infinite light and love is what I be. What we be, Yahweh.
Together.
Oh.
Thank you. Is Yahweh just a rhyme that you like at the end of it? Or is it
no, that's from the Pomo Miwok language that Brother Lanny in the spirit world taught me. Yahweh, right. Thank you. Yahweh.
Yahweh. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
And for Lanny, good memories. Sweet, sweet Lanny.
Oh,
thank you. Thank you again for being here, joining us. Remember, you can send questions ahead of time to us. And please like, share, follow. Help us keep doing the work that we're doing to show up for you. And thank you for showing up together and for each other and doing this work. We know that, like your story about the ego doesn't always get the timeline it wants, but keeping these concepts and practices alive can help us along the way.
Oh.
So thank you. We'll see you next week.
Okay.
All right. Take
Adios.
care, everybody.